Good evening, everyone. Live from Silicon Valley, California. This is Bhakti Community. My name is JM, and I welcome you all to a program today, Bhakti On, where we'll discuss the topic from trust to taste, 6 steps from scattered living to anchored in spiritual strength. With our speaker today, Vijay. Vijay, he has been a regular speaker, and we are very fortunate that he is leading the program today. He has been a monk for over 4 decades practicing Bhakti Yoga. And in that 22 years, he was the book distribution leader for BBT, where he has distributed over millions of ancient wisdom literature. He also visited more than 60 countries and hundreds of yoga centers across the globe, sharing strategies, trying to inspire everyone to lead a conscious, well balanced life. So really happy and excited and glad and thankful for having Vijay in our program today. Welcome, Vijay. Yes, we are getting better at reading lips, but we are still not there yet.
Now, yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Yeah, lip reading is not an easy thing.
Yeah, we have. It has improved, but we are not there yet.
So, in our Vedic literatures, there's a verse that explains the six processes by which we can advance in spiritual life. And it's a spiritual journey. And I'll read the Sanskrit. Sanskrit is very beautiful. Adao Shraddha Sadhu Sangata Bhajanakriya. This is the first line. That the first step is in having trust in something sublime, which is spiritual life. The spiritual journey is something sublime, and there's many ways that people have their initial trust. Many people get their initial trust or faith is another way to put it is by reading these books. I fortunately came in touch with the Bhagavad Gita in Florida, yeah, 48 years ago, and uh, I was on a journey. I wanted to know what's this all about. What's the goal of life? So as I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, I gained great trust in what I was reading. I was so fascinated that I was just thinking, this is it. This is the highest truth. So many people get their trust from reading books, or also from hearing uh, great devotees. Srila Prabhupada, the founder of this society, he in the 60s he went to New York City, and there was very few books, but he was speaking to people, and he's a pure devotee, so they would hear him, and they would gain great trust in this spiritual process. So sometimes people think that this trust or this faith is just blind faith, uh, but actually faith is all over the place. Just like when people uh, get on a plane, they have faith that the pilot, he's a licensed pilot, he knows what he's doing. Uh, so there's some faith there. Actually, believe it or not, I was on a plane one time, uh, and I heard someone say to an authority there that he smelled alcohol on the pilot's breath, the captain's breath. So they took him. They just he was drunk, flying the plane drunk. So of course he was fired. And another time I heard there was a co-pilot and the captain. They were flying the plane, and they got so much involved in their conversation that they were having that they passed up the the airport that they were supposed to land in. So usually this doesn't happen. We got some faith, but people make mistakes, right? So faith is there. People go to college. They have some faith that if I go to college, I get a degree, that I'll get out and I'll get a job. So faith is there. And you go on the street and you have some faith that the people that are driving, they also know how to drive. So there's trust, there's faith, all wherever we go, it's there. But so they said that this is blind faith, but there's also blind doubt. There's blind doubt. Sometimes people they adamantly will say there's no soul, there's no supreme being, uh, but this is blind doubt. They say they want to see it. They want to see it. But if I can't see it, if it's not empirical evidence, I don't believe it. If I can't see it, I don't believe it. But there's so many things that we uh, can't see, but we know exists. For instance, right now we're uh, we're in a room, but we can't see the air. No one has ever seen air. We can't see thoughts. We can't see so many things. We can't see time. So many things we can't see, but we know exist. Right? So uh, this spiritual knowledge gives trust in things that we can't see. The reason we can't see these things is because they're subtle. Air is subtle. No one can see another person's intelligence. We can't see thoughts. Why? Because they're all subtle. Time is subtle. Time is something that we are all using all the time. But we can't see it. It's subtle. So the soul is also subtle. Therefore, we can't see the soul. And the supreme soul, the supreme divinity, whom we call Krishna, he's also subtle. And he sees everything. And some that are very advanced in spiritual life, they can also see that supreme divinity, that supreme being, Krishna, when they're very advanced. And this is the journey. Actually, it's natural to be able to see this supreme being, Krishna, because we're all part of Krishna. So it's natural. But because there's some impurities, therefore we can't see. So this process is about being purified, purifying the consciousness. Just like there's air purifiers, there's water purifiers, there's also consciousness purifiers. So this knowledge, such as the Bhagavad Gita, this mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, the association with devotees, these are all consciousness purifiers. And when the consciousness is completely purified, then we're completely happy. So that's the first of the processes by which we can attain this taste. So the next one is association with devotees or people that are also interested in this spiritual journey. In the ancient, I guess you wouldn't say ancient, but in the native Indian, they have an example of the bad dog and the good dog. Within everyone, there's a bad dog and a good dog. The bad dog represents greed and selfishness and envy and just terrible qualities. And the good dog represents peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, good qualities that we appreciate. So if we associate with people who have good qualities, then those good qualities, they rub off onto us. And we also develop these good qualities. And as we develop these good qualities more and more by association, then the bad dog dies. But if we associate with people who are of low class, who are not of good quality, then those qualities come, and we lose the bad dog grows, and the good dog dies. So association is very, very important, and therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he traveled all around the world to create uh, devotees so that they can help others advance in this journey of spiritual life. So that's two. Then there's three is service. That's called bhajana kriya, service. As we advance in spiritual life, we want to engage in some beneficial service. It's natural to serve. That's the nature of the soul, is to serve. Even when we're born, we're serving our senses. It's called anamaya, service to the tongue. Like when a child is born, practically when he's just 1 year old, his only sense that he's aware of practically is tongue, and therefore children, they always want to eat sweets because it's very tasty, and that's practically all they're aware of is their tongue. Therefore, the parents have to always watch the children, constantly watching the children, because they put everything in their mouth. So, and then as they grow older, then they see, oh, I have a brother and a sister. Let me do some service for my brother and sister. Let me give them some sweets also. Let me share some sweets with my brother and sister and my parents. So then the service grows to the family, and then they have friends, and then the friends, they do service for each other, and then it grows on to the society, and then even to animals, save the whale, save the cows. So and then yeah, so the service is a very uh, important part of the soul, and the service in this society is mainly distributing this knowledge throughout the world, because what is most needed throughout the world is spiritual knowledge. People don't know uh, mostly that they should be on a spiritual journey so we can get out of this place, of this material world. This material world it's not our home, actually. The spiritual world, that's our home. And to be on a spiritual journey means that we're going back home, as Prabhupada would say, going back home, back to Godhead. So service is very important. And there's pure service, and there's selfish service. So we're trying to transcend this selfish service and go to selfless service. There was I don't know if any of you saw this movie, but there was a movie called Pay It Forward. Some devotees said it was very interesting because it was, sometimes when you get something from someone, you have to pay them back. So this movie was Pay It Forward. It was selfless, random acts of service to people that they don't know. So believe it or not, it's a movement all over the world because it sends such a good message. Random acts of kindness to people they don't know. So it's kind of interesting. So uh, this service that we're doing around the world, giving this knowledge, is so important. And many times I meet people that are very interested in this knowledge, in the books that we have, but they have no money. And so I give the book to them, and I said, pay it forward. So this is for you. Now you also do something good for others. Maybe give this knowledge to someone else. So it gets the chain link going. It just keeps it going, paying it forward. So Srila Prabhupada, he was the epitome of paying it forward. He would do random acts of kindness, practically to the whole of society, with thousands and millions of people all over the world getting on this journey. So the fourth one is
I,
giving up.
I just want to check if anyone has any questions or
Yeah, yeah.
reflections for what has been discussed so far. it's good to get their thoughts because it enriches the discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So anyone, any questions, thoughts, comments,
Reflections.
reflections? Or if you've come for the first time, would love to welcome you. Please feel free to say hi.
I have a reflection to do about service, and as you were talking about, ser service, and today I was in a training, and there they were just training the managers, and they were telling that how do you show care towards your subordinates is through service. I mean, doing service to them, and you just mentioned like how it's our nature to serve, and that service actually creates this bond no matter whether it's spiritual aspect or material aspect of life. Yeah, I was just resonating on that.
Yeah, thank you for that. This reminds me of a situation in a plane where Prabhupada was there with his disciples, and the airline hostess or stewardess, she came and she asked if there was any service that she could do to Prabhupada. And the boy said, well, he generally just fruit. We just eat fruit. If you can get some fruit. She said, oh, yeah, I'll bring some fruit from the first class. And then, so she did that. And Prabhupada told the devotees, it's very natural that especially women, they have a service attitude. And this same lady came by some time later, and she took some puffed rice off of Shruti Kirti's plate. That was the remnants of Srila Prabhupada. She took it right off his plate. She was walking by and she popped it in her mouth. And she said, "Oh, this is good." And she took a little bit more, and the devotees were amazed that she was so bold to just take some food right out of Shruti Kirti's plate, which is Prabhupada's remnant. Very special soul. So it gets more amazing. Many years later, a devotee was in Brazil going door to door, book distribution, and he knocked on a door. And this lady opened the door, and the devotee saw pictures of Krishna all over the room. And the devotee said, "Hey, you're a devotee of Krishna. And they're out in the middle of nowhere." And he said, "How did you become a devotee?" Oh, she said, "I used to be an airline stewardess, and I got some remnants of Srila Prabhupada, and it had such an effect that eventually I became a devotee." So this is the power of Mahaprasadam. This is another way to get trust, uh, preliminary trust, getting the Mahaprasadam of the pure devotee. So yeah, thank you for that. So the next one is giving up bad habits.
Ishwari Radha has her hand up.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, thank you so much for this wonderful talk. I like the fact that you said that how you have to have faith we have faith in everything else, but we don't have faith in God sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, when we go out and tell people about this spiritual knowledge, it's like they're not, I don't feel like they're understanding what it is actually when you tell them. So it's kind of difficult to, carry on that kind of conversation. You have to go back to the mundane stuff. So I like the examples you gave, how we have trust in the airline and the pilot, and when you're driving, you have to trust the person and all that stuff. So maybe that we can use that.
Yeah, but very few people are actually, well, I mean, America, people do believe in God, but not very clear understanding. But yeah, atheism is definitely growing. When I meet atheists, I tell them, actually, if you're intelligent, you're not an atheist. And they say, well, really, how is that? And I say, well, there's a lot of things you don't know, like billions of things. And one of the billions of things you don't know is whether there's a God or not. And if you were to say there isn't a God, that would imply that you're God, because God knows everything. And if you were to say that there's no God, then you're implying that you know everything, but you're not God. There's so many things that you don't know. So many times they'll say, okay, you're right, I don't know. So then they become agnostic. At least they go down a notch from their uh, low consciousness. So, anything else?
Yeah, thanks, Ishwari Radha. Anything else? Any other questions, thoughts, comments? Cheryl, how are you doing? Looks like those are the thoughts for now. So we can continue.
So the fourth one is giving up bad habits. Now it gets tough. Now, to get some preliminary faith is not that difficult. To associate with devotees, well, it's getting more and more difficult now. It's not that difficult. And to engage in some service also. I mean, we distribute books and people do service all the time, and Prabhupada said, even if someone says good morning to a devotee, that's service. They're wishing a good morning to a devotee. So that's service. So it's not that hard to do service. But now, giving up bad habits, now it gets difficult, because habits are second nature, difficult to give up. It's called the Nivritti Marg, giving up bad habits. And then there's Pravritti Marg, engaging in activities which are favorable for our journey of spiritual life. So these bad habits are actually detrimental to our advancement on this journey. Therefore, Prabhupada gave these. We have these rules: no gambling, because gambling actually destroys honesty, and it's one of the worst habits. People they gambled away their homes, their cars. Even in Yudhisthira, he got involved in this game. He gambled away his family, brother, wife. We just give you an idea of how horrible it is, and therefore it's restricted. Gambling is restricted. It's only allowed in maybe 2 or 3 states in the whole country here. Not allowed in California. Why? Because it destroys people's lives. So gambling, intoxication, also intoxication, it's a terrible thing. Just like we have this book by Devabrita Swami, Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. So they're thinking they'll be happy by taking some intoxication, alcohol or drugs or smoking cigarettes. But people's lives are destroyed by taking these things. So it's unnatural. It's not even happiness. It's just foolishness. It's not real happiness. People don't know what is real happiness. Real happiness is inner happiness, spiritual happiness, not this drinking and taking drugs and smoking. This is called Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga full on, where people think that they'll be happy by doing all these foolish things and just destroying their lives. So, so no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating. Meat eating is also, at least previously, it was restricted. Now, because Kali Yuga has advanced so much, there's not so much restriction. But in India, the restriction was you could only kill a goat. And before you kill it, you could say it, you have to say into its ear, I'm killing you now, in the future you'll kill me. So that's to be a deterrent, a pretty good deterrent. I'm killing you now and you'll kill me in the future. So, yeah, things that are not good, they're restricted. And things that are good for us, just like you can go and you can buy fruits and vegetables, there's no restriction because they're healthy. And things that are healthy for us, there's no restriction. So these are called favorable. It's like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked by a great devotee, Raghunath Das Thakur. He said, "What is my duty?" And he said what you should do and what you shouldn't do. He said, "Don't talk like the people in general." It's like people are talking about the news and all kinds of nonsense. There's a lot of prajalpa going around. News, as Vaiseshika Maharaj, he likes to encourage always not to watch it because it's all. And Prabhupada also, he encouraged always, don't watch the news because it's all bad news. Same old thing. This politician did that. This, and he did this, and this disaster happened over there. It's all the same thing. In Brazil, there was a radio station. It was called the Good News Channel, and it was only good news, no bad news, just good news. Imagine that. Well, that'd be nice. Of course, the best news would be all the activities in the Krishna consciousness movement. But then the radio station had to stop after 6 months because they ran out of good news. But bad news, you never run out of. This is that age of so much bad news. So let's see. So now we're on. Oh, I wanted to mention something else. That it's like I was mentioning. There's certain things that we have to do and certain things that we shouldn't do. And Prabhupada many times he gives an example of a doctor who's treating a patient. So the doctor tells the patient, all right, this is what you should do. Take this medicine, eat these types of foodstuffs, and don't do this. Don't do this type of thing in order for you to get healthy. So if the patient follows the instructions of the doctor, then there's a good chance he'll become healthy. But if he just, whimsically just does whatever he wants, then he won't get healthy. So Krishna, he's kind of like a transcendental doctor. And he's given us many, many instructions in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam about how to become healthy, what to do, what not to do. It's like in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a 16th chapter, the divine and demoniac natures, the natures that people get by doing certain activities. So the divine activities or the divine nature is beautiful. It explains the qualities of devotees. It's beautiful. So we want to become healthy servants of Krishna, healthy devotees, healthy souls. It's not easy because we've been in the material world for a long time. So we've been dirty for a long time. So in this one lifetime, we're trying to become healthy souls. So we have to, with great diligence, try our best to achieve this journey. So then the fifth one is called Nishta, which means firm trust in that which is sublime, Krishna. Now, once we get firm trust or firm faith, then we can't be deviated. Then we've made it, and we've made it. We've achieved the goal of Krishna consciousness. It means firmly situated in Krishna consciousness. And that's success of life, to be firmly established in spiritual life, no longer interested in doing material things, only interested in spiritual things. Why? Because then the last one has a taste. One has a taste. Only interested. It's a very nice, I'm going to read to you one of my favorite the verses in the Bhagavad Gita. This is from the 5th chapter. This is one of the most beautiful verses in the Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada's purport is just so. Perk your ears up. We're going to give you some nice nectar here from the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone. Wouldn't it be nice to be dear to everyone? Krishna's telling us how to do that. And everyone is dear to him. Wouldn't that be nice? Everyone is dear to him. He's dear to everyone. Everyone's dear to him. This is Prabhupada. I'm going to tell you a little story about this right now. Actually, JM, you might have heard this, but it's such a nice story. Maybe some of the others haven't heard it. This is a pastime of Prabhupada. When he went back to India in 1970, he had many devotees also come to India from America. And one of them was Giriraj, Brahmachari at the time. Now he was the son of a high court judge. He was a multi-millionaire. So he was his only son. So that he joined the Hare Krishna movement, that was tough. But now he's on the other side of the planet. Now it's just too much. So he flew with his wife to Bombay to try to get his son back to America. So Giriraj got the information, picked him up at the airport, and immediately his father was trying to convince him, going back to America. But what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Third world country, India. Come on, let's go back to America. No, I like it here. It's okay. So he figured out, I can't convince him. So he said to Giriraj, please arrange a meeting with your guru. I'd like to speak with your guru. So he arranged that. There was Prabhupada, there was Giriraj, Brahmachari, there was his father and mother, and the servant of Prabhupada. So the father said to Prabhupada, this disciple of yours, he's my son, and he's our only son, and please, can you ask him to go back to America? So Prabhupada asked Giriraj, would you like to go back to America? He said, no, Prabhupada, I want to stay here. I want to stay with you. His real father. So Prabhupada looked at the parents and said, what do you want me to do? You don't want me to force him, do you? And they said no. Because there's a saying here in America, a person forced against his will is of the same opinion still. So they knew that even if he was forced back, he would come back. So then he would have decided that he would stay in India. So Prabhupada said to Giriraj, why don't you go to Nepal, spend a week with them, and spend some time with them. And he said, yeah, I can do that. So they went to Kathmandu, and they spent a week together. And then they went back to Bombay. Prabhupada, or Giriraj wanted them to spend some more time with Prabhupada because, lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. No, sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. That even a moment's association with a pure devotee can bring all perfection. So they spent about an hour with Prabhupada before they flew back. And Prabhupada wasn't preaching to them. He was just small talk. Prabhupada had a good sense of humor, so he had them laughing, and it was a nice exchange. So then after Prabhupada, after the parents left, the servant said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you amaze me. Everybody loves you so much. And Prabhupada said, that's because I love everyone so much. So this is Prabhupada's the epitome of this verse that we're reading here. So, let's drop something. Now the purport is also one of the most beautiful. Oh, here's the last sentence of that verse. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. He's always free from entangled. So here's the purport. One who is on the path of liberation from Krishna consciousness is very dear to every living being, and every living being is dear to him. This is due to his Krishna consciousness. Such a person cannot think of any living being as separate from Krishna, just as the leaves and branches of a tree are not separate from the tree. He knows very well that by pouring water on the root of the tree, the water will be distributed to all the leaves and branches. Or by supplying food to the stomach, the energy is automatically distributed throughout the body. Because one who works in Krishna consciousness is servant to all, he is very dear to everyone. He is considering himself servant of everyone. This is a pure devotee. And because everyone is satisfied by his work, he is pure in consciousness. That's a powerful statement. because everyone is satisfied by his work. He is pure in consciousness. Everybody is satisfied by his work, therefore he is pure in consciousness. That's an amazing statement. Because he is pure in Krishna consciousness, his mind is completely controlled. Wouldn't it be nice to have a completely controlled mind? And because his mind is controlled, his senses are also controlled. Because his mind is always fixed on Krishna, there is no chance of his being deviated from Krishna. Nor is there a chance that nor is there a chance that he will engage his senses in matters other than service to the Lord. He does not like to hear anything except topics relating to Krishna. He does not like to eat anything which is not offered to Krishna. And he does not wish to go anywhere if Krishna is not involved. Lord Chaitanya said that if we eat anything that is not first offered to Krishna, then our heart becomes wicked. So we should always only eat Krishna prasadam. So continuing here. Therefore, his senses are controlled. A man of controlled senses cannot be offensive to anyone. One may ask, why then was Arjuna offensive in battle to others? Wasn't he in Krishna consciousness? Arjuna was only superficially offensive because, as has already been explained in the second chapter, all the assembled persons on the battlefield will continue to live individually as the soul cannot be slain. So there's a nice pastime of Prabhupada in this regard also, that he doesn't want to be offensive to anyone. Prabhupada was in Mayapur, and a devotee was giving him a massage in a mosquito net. Mayapur, there's a lot of mosquitoes. So there was a mosquito in the net. So the devotee asked Prabhupada, should I kill the mosquito? And Prabhupada said, no, it's okay. And then the mosquito landed on Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, now you can kill it because he's attacked. So spiritually, actually, you know that the most dangerous animal on the planet is mosquitoes, because they travel with diseases by which people die. Interesting. Such a little insect is the most dangerous animal on the planet. So spiritually, no one was killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only their dresses were changed by the order of Krishna, who was personally present. Therefore, Arjuna, while fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, was not really fighting at all. He was simply carrying out the orders of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Such a person is never entangled in the reactions of words. Beautiful purport, huh? And verse. So now, okay, we're on 6 now.
Mayura, did you have any question?
I did. So I had a question, that when we think about, or when I listen to, like, how do you connect with the divine from a meditation perspective, right? It's always like it's an energetic, it's like it's an energy, it's an experiential thing. And when I listen to the Bhagavad Gita, and it makes a lot of sense, but I feel like it's more intellectual versus an energy experience. I'm curious how Prabhupada would have explained that, and kind of position these two ways to experience the divine in our life.
Very good question. Do you regularly chant japa?
I do, but not 16 rounds. But
Okay,
yeah.
you're chanting some.
Mhm.
So that's an energy experience. And another way to experience that is through service. Like my main service is I distribute books, and I experience the energy of Krishna all the time. If you want to experience Krishna energy. I see.
Well, one thing I noticed is it feels like the way we practice with Sri Prabhupada's teachings is it's more of a social experience where the association of other devotees, whereas if you're focused on meditation, your breath work, pranayama, all of that stuff, you almost want to protect your energy, your aura. So it's almost like you want to do that in isolation. So that's also another thing I kind of notice is is a different method, if you will, and how it comes together at some point.
Yeah, that's interesting also. Yeah, when we're chanting japa, you get to this very nice mood of connecting with Krishna. And then
Yeah.
when you go out in the world, even when sometimes speaking to devotees, sometimes we kind of lose that energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more we connect to Krishna, the more we'll experience this energy continuously when we're with devotees, even when we're with non-devotees, because everybody is a spirit soul, right? Everybody is part of Krishna. So it's a journey. It's a journey.
Mm.
And we have a ways to go. But the more we advance in this journey, the more we'll feel this energy of Krishna, and it can be overwhelming. It can be so nice. I mean, I've had experiences on book distribution with non-devotees and having wonderful uh, feelings of the Krishna energy, and
Mm.
giving them books and conversing with them, and yeah, it's I highly recommend you getting. Have you done some book distribution?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, good.
some.
Yeah.
I'm a student myself, so
Huh?
I feel like I need to become more confident and learn myself
Yeah. Well,
before I
like
can.
everything, it takes time, practice,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's a wonderful service where I highly experience the energy of
Mm.
Krishna. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So then now we go to six. This is where we get the taste. So when we get the taste, yeah, the taste of Krishna consciousness, this is what actually everybody is looking for. They're doing this and they're doing that. They're taking intoxication and doing this and that. They're looking for this inner happiness, this happiness of Krishna consciousness, but they don't know it. Everybody wants, that's the nature of the soul: eternality, knowledge, and bliss, happiness. So they're all looking for happiness, but they don't know where to find it. So real happiness is in pure service to Krishna. And there's another very nice, one of my favorite verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is spoken by Krishna to Uddhava. He says, Akinchinasya dantasya santasya samachetasa maya santasya manasa sarvasukha maya desha. He says, anybody that is free of material desires. Now, what is a material desire? Material desire is a selfish desire. Spiritual desire means a selfless desire, that we're actually trying to do service for others. So there's material desires and there's spiritual desires. I was just listening to a lecture. Prabhupada said, he said material business is, what did he say? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, he said, if I can find it. Oh, Prabhupada says material life is bad business. I heard that and thought, wow, that only Prabhupada could say that. Material life is bad business. Why? Because someone may make a lot of money, just like Rockefeller or Steve Jobs. They were billionaires when they died, but they couldn't take anything with them. So it's bad business. Yeah, it's bad business. But spiritual life is good business, because whatever we do in the service of Krishna to keep that. That goes in our eternal spiritual bank account. Krishna says, in this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect them from the dangerous type of fear. So there's no loss. So this is the best business. But people think, well, if I have a lot of money, I'll be happy. But no, money doesn't bring happiness. So many people that are very wealthy, but they're not happy. Money can bring comfort, but that doesn't mean happiness. Comfort doesn't mean happiness. Happiness is something that's spiritual. It's not material. So kinchana dantasya. So the first thing he says is one who is free of material desires, and then he says dantasya, whose senses are controlled. We have to control the senses. Goswami is someone who controls the senses, and Godas is someone who's controlled by the senses. So unfortunately, here in America, we have a big problem called obesity. People can't control their tongue. America is the junk food capital of the world. Just like different countries, they have their expertise in different things that they can cook. Like Italy, they have pizza, and other places. So in America, we have hamburgers and French fries, hot dogs. This is the American cuisine. So people lose control of their tongue and so many things. So one has to learn to control the senses, engage the senses in the service of Krishna. Sarva padivam vinirmuktam tattvat vinirmuktam hrisikena hrisikesa sevanam bhakti uchate. That service to Krishna means to engage our senses in the master of the servant or the master of the senses. That's Krishna. And there's two very good side effects. Our senses become purified and we become free of material designations. The material designations is a big obstacle to this journey that we're trying to achieve. I'm man, that's a woman, or I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm American, I'm Chinese. These are all temporary designations, not labeled on the soul. The soul is transcendental for all this. So we're trying to come to the level of the soul, eternal servant of Krishna. And by this process, by this hearing the holy name, by this hearing the philosophy, eventually the soul becomes purified of all the contamination of this age. So kinchana dantasya santasya, then one becomes peaceful. There's a nice verse also, Krishna Bhakti Nishkama, that devotees of the Lord are very peaceful because they don't have material desire. But bhukti, mukti, people who are full of material desires, who are desiring liberation, who are desiring mystic perfections, they can't be peaceful because they have some selfish desire. So this is part of our journey, is becoming selfless and just serving Krishna, serving the devotees, serving society. There's a nice verse spoken also in the 10th canto by a great devotee, Sudama, the garland maker. When Krishna went to visit him, Krishna was so pleased with him. He said, I'll give you anything you want. Imagine if Krishna came to you and said, I'll give you anything you want. Just tell me. What would we say? So what this Sudama said was just perfect. When I read this, I just thought, yes, this is a great devotee. He said, please, Krishna, give me devotion for you. Now, he already had so much devotion because Krishna, he was so pleased with him. I'll give you anything you want. So imagine I already had so much devotion. He wanted more devotion. In other words, there's no limit to the devotion that we can have for that supreme divinity, Krishna. Then he said, please give me friendship with your devotees, which is also interesting because he's a pure devotee. I'm sure he already had so many friends, but he's praying for friendship with devotees. Now, especially in Kali Yuga, we should pray like that, because in Kali Yuga, Kala Dochan He Rajan, it's just such a degraded age. So we should really pray for that also, friendship with the devotees. And Prabhupada said, a devotee, he's friends with everybody. And then Sudama said, and compassion for all living entities. Such a great devotee. When I read that, I just, wow, that's beautiful. He prayed for three things. Devotion to Krishna. What else? What were the other two?
Compassion.
Compassion and
Seva.
friendship. Friendship with the devotees. Friendship with the devotees, compassion for the non-devotees, and devotion for Krishna. This is what he wanted. And then actually in the order of first devotion for Krishna, because if you have devotion for Krishna, pretty much everything else comes. Because devotion is there. The devotion for Krishna is there. So akinchana shadantasya santasya samachetasa. Samachetasa means that he's equal. He sees everyone as a soul. He doesn't see the external body. I'll tell you another nice pastime of Prabhupada. He was in Hawaii, and one devotee was doing some service in Prabhupada's room. And in Hawaii, there's a lot of different types of bugs because it's tropical. So this devotee saw this very unusual looking bug they had never seen before. And he said, Prabhupada, look at this bug. I've never seen such a bug before. So Prabhupada came over and he's looking at the bug. He said, yeah, pretty unusual. And then Prabhupada said, now chant to the poor thing. Because Prabhupada, he saw it wasn't a bug. He saw it as a soul within the bug. So chant to the poor thing. Another nice pastime in Chicago, devotees, they were preaching to this one man. He was very big, about 350 pounds. He was huge. So they brought him into Prabhupada and introduced him to Prabhupada. And one devotee said, Prabhupada, he's a pretty big boy, eh, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada looked at the devotee and said, he's no bigger than you are. Because Prabhupada, he just saw the soul. He saw beyond the body. So this is Prabhupada. He's completely transcendental. Samachita. He saw the soul everywhere. So continuing this verse, Akinchyanasya dantasya santasya maya santusta manasa. And he was satisfied in Krishna consciousness. If we're satisfied in Krishna consciousness, Krishna's very pleased. Because there's so many things in this material world that we can become attracted to. It's Maya's kingdom. It's Maya's kingdom. So there's so many things that we can be attracted to. But if we're not attracted to them and we're attracted to Krishna, Krishna's very pleased. And therefore, Krishna says at the end of this verse, such a person, wherever he goes, he will only find happiness. Beautiful verse. I'll say the verse one more time, just all together. One who is free of material desires, who controls his senses, who is peaceful, who sees everyone equally as a soul, and who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness. Wherever such a person goes, he will only find happiness. Beautiful. And this is what everybody's looking. This is the key. This is the key to happiness. To serve Krishna.
We just got a comment from Mayura. She said, good reminder about good business, bad business for those of us who missed the SpaceX IPO.
Yes, this is good business. There's a lot of bad business. People are making so much money. Just like Prabhupada said about this Birla in India. He's got so much money, but still he can only eat, 3 chapatis and some sabzi, and he's got a little space to sleep on. So, what's the big deal? And also so much anxiety. There's a lot more anxiety when people have a lot of money. So one is free of that anxiety if you don't have a lot of money. There was one wealthy man, Radhanath Swami, told me of this very wealthy man. He said, he said, I'm so poor that all I have is wealth. In other words, if you don't have good qualities and you only have wealth, then because if you don't have good qualities, then you're pretty much going to be alone. Because if people don't have good quality, people have bad quality, it's hard to be around such people. If you have good qualities, everybody wants to be with you. Just like with Prabhupada, everybody wanted to be with Prabhupada because he was so wonderful. His filled with so many good qualities. So, anything else?
Okay, any other questions, thoughts, comments? We have got 5 minutes left. So, any questions, comments, thoughts?
I like this point very much about what you said, that things that are not good, there's restrictions on them. You know, when you go to so many places, you'll see that, like especially airports and stuff like that, there's a place that you can go and, have your drink or whatever, but it's not readily available everywhere else. So that means it's not good for you. That's why it's only at one place, But how come people don't think like that? Like, especially youngsters.
Well, what's amazing is, unfortunately, the youngsters, they're hoping to get the age where they can do those things.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a psychology. They wanted more if it's banned.
They're wishing they were older so they're not banned from these things which are bad for them. Kali Yuga people aren't very bright. This is the problem. Actually, I was just looking it up. They say that the brain has not fully developed until about somewhere between 25 and 30. So therefore, the young people are restricted because they don't know what's good for them, and they should be restricted till they're about 25, until their brain is fully developed. they're making it too easy, and therefore when they are 18 or 21, then they start doing foolish things. Unfortunately.
Go ahead, Kana.
Yeah, but it's kind of, the young people get conditioned into that type of life in this age. I'm younger, like, you go to college, a lot of TV shows show you about drinking and things like that while you're in college, and that's fun and enjoyable.
Yeah. Yes, this is the illusion.
Yeah.
And they get so frustrated after they start partying, they party, Friday night or Saturday night, and then they got their hangover the next morning. Oh no, what did I say that for? Oh no, what did I do that for? They do foolish things. So fortunately, Prabhupada has come and given us something where we can get transcendentally intoxicated by chanting the holy name. Okay. If there's nothing else, then maybe.
And there was more from Tathagat. He posted a comment saying, I understand that by regulating our senses and sincerely focusing on the holy name, genuine happiness naturally develops. However, even while chanting, associating with devotees and hearing about Krishna, previous samskaras and long-standing habits sometimes resurface in the mind. When such thoughts and tendencies arise, how should one deal with them? How can we avoid being distracted by them and keep our consciousness focused on Krishna or the divine?
Very good question. Now we're going to have to go for another half hour to answer that one. No, but actually we have to be patient. We have to be patient. We've been in the material world a long time. And we have these samskaras, things of the past. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, forget the past that sleeps, nor the future dream at all. Live in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. So things will pop up. So we just continue chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And eventually these samskaras, they'll be replaced with Krishna. Prabhupada said, don't remember the things of the past where you thought you were having a good time. Forget that. But things where you're having a difficult time, that's okay, because that reminds you that this material world is not a nice place. So Krishna reminds us so many times, just like right now, where I'm living in this apartment, and we got bed bugs. Major problem. So many devotees. I'm the only one that hasn't been attacked yet. Krishna's protecting me so far. But it's the material world, just always something's going to happen. But it's Krishna's mercy, just letting us know this is not a nice place. The material world is not a nice place, but there is a nice place. And we're all on the journey going back to that nice place where Krishna is playing the flute, his cowherd friends, and everyone's having a transcendental party. This is where the real party is happening, in the spiritual world. Nobody is intoxicated with all this nonsense. This pure Krishna consciousness. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thanks so much, Vijay Prabhu, for a wonderful class today, and it's such deep insights. And thanks everyone also for your questions and reflection that made it engaging. Super grateful for accepting at such a short notice, Vijay Prabhu, and looking forward to many more classes in the future. Thanks so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Let's sign off as Vaish always wants us to do. He is right now, I think, going over Alps, I believe, in Europe. I'm sure he would find yogis there too, looking for roots. So let's sign off with a big Haribol in his as per his instruction. Haribol.
you.
Haribol.